I want you to do me a favor at the beginning of this video and unlearn all of the bullshit that you think you know about maximizing your hair, about hair loss, about hair health, about all these different things, because there's a very high chance that you've been completely brainwashed. Because you have to understand that the same companies that make the shampoos also are owned by the same people who own Rogaine, who own Propecia, who own all of this conglomerate that profits off of your suffering, and they reconstruct your worldview to get you to believe that you need dangerous pharmaceuticals with very, very terrible side effects. Before we start, obviously, why should you even watch this to begin with? Why should you give a shit about your hair? Well, the fact of the matter is your hair is over 50% of your attractiveness. Unless you have like a very rare type of skull. Don't believe me? See for yourself. If we can get you to keep your hair and to have the most beautiful, luscious, thick, dense, shiny, any label you can think of, type of hair, if you can maximize the epigenetic potential of your hair, then your attractiveness is going to improve by a lot. And not only that, it's gonna do a lot more for you than all of the bullshit that you see all over YouTube, all over TikTok, all over Instagram. Like, bro, like pulling your fucking eyelids or like they're doing this dumb shit. Like, bro, like you have to be sub 80 IQ to believe that this fucking dumb shit works. But proper natural hair maxing actually does, and I'll tell you exactly why. And as a matter of fact, the information you're about to learn has allowed me to reverse my own hair loss. It's allowed me to get hair that is much thicker, much denser, much more beautiful, that grows at a much faster rate. Basically, any kind of hair maxing benefit you can think of, I have maximized it, okay? I know I've gotten you curious with all these big claims, so let's get started. We're gonna be going over legitimate hair care, diet. Yes, we're actually gonna go over diet because that's really fucking important. And extra secrets you can implement to maximize your hair and eliminate hair loss without any side effects whatsoever. If anything, the only side effects you're gonna get from this is increased vitality, just basically a bunch of other benefits. Now, the first point that I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time rambling about is the idea that you need to quit shampoo immediately, okay? And I've talked about this extensively in other videos, but to simplify it, all of the toxic chemicals inside of the shampoos that you use permeate through your scalp and give you scalp inflammation. It is scalp inflammation that causes higher androgenic activity, the mobilization of DHT as an antioxidant to your scalp, and for the people who are sensitive genetically to the overaccumulation of that molecule in their scalp is what causes hair loss. Scalp inflammation has to come first, and we're going to get into other reasons as to why scalp inflammation exists, but shampoo is one of the major ones, okay? There's no reason for you to use shampoo. Oh, but my hair gets greasy. Yeah, your hair gets greasy because of shampoo, because it aggressively strips the oils out of your scalp, out of your hair follicles, so your system overcompensates by overproducing oil as a result. Trust me, once you're on no shampoo for about 1 to 2 months, your hair is never going to get greasy again, outside of like the elements and sweat from the gym and whatever else, right? But shampoo needs to be eliminated completely. And I could go even further about how the fact that you overproduce the oil is stressful to your scalp by itself, and how the parabens and phthalates and everything that permeate through your scalp will also affect your endocrine system and reduce your testosterone levels and make you more ugly. I don't have time to cover everything about why shampoo is absolutely and utterly dog shit, but the point is, you don't need it, it's harmful as hell, and there are alternatives, because guess what? No, I'm not telling you to never wash your hair again. That's a big misconception people have. You can use raw eggs. First of all, that is the best option you have. It washes your hair just as good as shampoo does, but it doesn't cause the overproduction of oil. And instead of causing you scalp inflammation by injecting toxins into your scalp, you're injecting nutrients into your scalp. You're injecting direct topical biotin into your scalp, zinc, healthy fats, cholesterol, just all of those different things that we're going to get into later that constitutes hair growth, because everything you put on your skin, including your scalp, some of it gets absorbed inside of the body, inside of the skin barrier, right? Your scalp is no different. And also the hair follicles themselves absorb these things. So washing your hair with raw eggs is essentially your best option. Now, there's other options as well. Let's say you want to use it with eggs to wash even more thoroughly if you're doing oiling or whatever. You've got bentonite clay. That's also pretty good. It's also fairly nutrient dense and gives your hair a lot of silica, which is very, very good for growth. And you've also got natural soaps such as black African soap, for example, that are made out of 100% natural ingredient. They're not irritating to your scalp. They're not going to cause the overproduction of oil. You've got all these options, but trust me, if you do raw eggs and on top of that, you mix the raw egg with raw honey, that's going to not only like wash your hair, nourish your follicles and everything, but it's also going to give your hair a really nice, shiny, conditioning type of effect, okay? So if you do a mix of raw eggs and raw honey, your hair care routine is already superior to 99.99% of people. All the dermatologists, who, by the way, I keep scrolling and looking at what the dermatologists have to say, and I look at their hair and I'm like, bro, you're balding as a woman. Like your hair, it's either fake extensions, which are very easy to detect, or it's shit. And what we are doing is, instead of faking the appearance of healthy hair, because that's why you have to use conditioner, because otherwise the shampoo leaves your hair in a sorry, disgusting state. So you have to mimic the appearance of health by using conditioner. However, by actually rewiring everything from the inside out and putting the correct things on your hair and doing the proper natural habits, you'll have amazing hair that you don't need to fake the appearance of with toxic products that you need to constantly reapply. Last point about shampoo is that it's the predominant cause of dandruff. Okay, if you have dandruff, if you have itchy scalp, if you have all these different things, besides gut health, which we are just about to get to, quitting shampoo, including anti-dandruff shampoos, which are complete BS, by the way, quitting all of them is the thing that is the likeliest to get rid of your dandruff, to get rid of your psoriasis, to get rid of your scalp issues, okay? You have to understand, the dermatologists work with these shampoo companies in tandem to profit off of your suffering and to keep you in the loop, all right? I'm trying to break that frame out of your mind. I'm trying to get you to think for yourself, all right? And this brings me into the next point, diet. Bro, anybody who talks to you about hair maxing, about hair loss, about whatever the fuck it is that you should do to maximize the appearance of your hair and whatever fuck, if they don't talk to you about the diet, the building blocks of your hair, if they don't mention that at all, they're full of shit. They are full of shit if they don't talk to you about the diet, because that's the building blocks. That's like if you want to build a fucking skyscraper, and the first step, the thing you concern yourself with the most, is cleaning the windows. Is cleaning the fucking windows of your skyscraper when you haven't even built it. You don't have the concrete, you don't have the construction staff, you don't have the materials, you don't have the process to assemble everything. Like, bro, it's so fucking insane to me. And you're worried about cleaning the windows of your little air-conditioned office when the building doesn't even exist. On fucking real, man. So here's the deal. This is going to be some very high ROI information, so pay attention. Your hair absorbs a good amount of minerals in your body. A lot of your minerals actually go towards your hair, both good and bad. That's why when you do a hair mineral analysis, you are able to tell whether you are deficient in some minerals, whether you are toxic in some minerals, whether you possess heavy metal toxicity such as mercury, lead, all these different things, okay? And the reason we are able to do this is because your hair absorbs a lot of minerals. Now, what we want to do is maximize the amount of minerals that are conducive to hair growth and minimize heavy metal toxicity. Okay, so the minerals that you are seeking to maximize through diet, sometimes through supplementation, and a lot of these different things are selenium, zinc, copper, iodine, sulfur, what was it? Silica, and iron. Okay, these are the main minerals that you want to maximize. Obviously, don't overdose on them, but you want to be on the upper end of all of them, right? And that is going to supercharge the quality of your hair, the growth of your hair, everything, all right? Now, how do we center our diet around those things? Well, it's pretty simple. Most of those things you can find in organ meats, you can find in animal products at large, and the ones that are harder to find, you know, let's say silica, for example, is pretty difficult to find just in animal products and everything, but you can always supplement it, or you can get it from bananas or whatever. But the point is, most of it can be taken care of from a nutrient-dense animal-based diet, and the rest you can just supplement, right? Now, on top of these minerals, obviously you need a high protein diet, okay? And if you're into looksmaxxing, you're probably already training, you're probably already understand the importance of meat and whatever, but I'm gonna stress it even more because it's not just about having enough protein to build your body and whatever. No, it's having excess protein that can be delivered to your hair follicles directly, because your hair is 95% protein, 94% protein, about that range, right? Now, your hair is not a necessary process. That's what you need to understand. You don't need your hair to survive, right? There is a hierarchy of nutritional allocation inside of your body, and your hair is only created through excess. All right, that's why vegans lose their fucking hair, because they're so malnourished. Okay, so what you need to do is to have a diet that is supercharged in the right minerals, in proteins, but also in fats, because guess what? Fats are very, very important for the shine of your hair, for the protection. The outer layer of your hair is made out of fats, okay? And they contribute a lot to the strength of your hair, to protecting your hair, and also producing sebum, your natural oils, which when you're not frying your scalp, frying your hair with shampoo, you actually produce the correct amount that coats your hair, keeps it protected, and keeps it healthy, right? So you want to get a lot of healthy fats in your diet too. And as far as carbs are concerned, I know this is kind of a controversial topic, but to be quite frank, if no carb works for you, if you can do keto and you're fat adapted and you don't experience any symptoms of hair loss or whatever, do it. At the end of the day, all the minerals and stuff, you can get all of them from animal products. But a lot of people have a very difficult time becoming fat adapted, okay? That is the main issue. This is why they experience hair loss on keto. This is why they experience... It's also because they don't do it properly. They eat fucking keto crackers and all of that stupid processed garbage that's marketed towards absolute idiots. Like, you're not doing anything if you're consuming keto cookies to become healthier. It's a psyop. It's actually even more unhealthy than sugar, all the garbage they put inside of that. But yeah, as far as carb intake, it kind of depends on your other goals. If your goal is to also gain as much mass as possible, you're probably going to have to include some carbohydrates to fuel your training. If not, then you can just go full keto and eliminate carbs entirely, maybe just a little bit of fruit. That's up to you. Because at the end of the day, carbs are not that nutrient dense. Okay, you can get a little bit of antioxidants from blueberries and whatever, and electrolytes from watermelon. I fucking love watermelon. Literally one of the greatest pleasures of life, in my opinion. But when it comes to carb intake, that's very variable. That is not the main thing we are concerned with when it comes to hair maxing. Now, another thing that we need to get into is gut health, because gut inflammation equals scalp inflammation equals hair loss, and it matters in so many different ways. If anybody talks to you about hair and doesn't mention gut health, like I've said before, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, okay? So, obviously, dude, Stop eating slop. I don't need to tell you this. If you're still eating garbage, if you're still eating seed oils, if you're still consuming goy slop, if you're still consuming this fucking slave food that has been chemically engineered to make you addicted, to make you unhealthy, to make you stupid, and to essentially turn you into a slave, then, like, if you still haven't figured that one out and how it ties into your physical appearance and how you feel mentally and how you operate on a day-to-day basis, listen, man, I go watch Paul Saladino videos or something, because we're a bit beyond not consuming poison, alright? Now, another thing for gut health that you can do is, because there's a chance you've taken antibiotics in the past, and what antibiotics do is they also destroy the good bacteria inside of your gut. And when that happens, your digestion gets significantly worse, so it takes more energy from your body to process your digestion, and you only have a limited amount of energy. So guess what? More energy for digestion, less energy for everything else, including hair growth. But also, the thing is, you can't extract as much nutrition out of the food that you consume, right? Because if your digestion isn't efficient enough, if you don't have the proper gut microbiome. Now, I'm not gonna spend too much time telling you about all the amazing benefits of having a good gut microbiome and whatever, which, by the way, if you're eating trash food and everything, that's also gonna destroy the good bacteria inside of your gut, you know, all different types of toxicity. But the point is, good bacteria is good, so assuming you're starting from scratch, you want to do this sort of reset protocol in which you change your diet completely, and you do all of the different things that I'm talking about in this video. You want to consume kefir, which is like the best source, because, you know, it's actually animal based. It's the best source of probiotics that you can actually get. Now, you replenish your gut with the kefir, and obviously that's going to help your hair growth a lot, but also you're going to feel better, you're going to sleep better. It's just amazing. Now, another thing is to quit the consumption of gluten entirely. I don't give a shit if you have celiac disease or not. I don't give a shit if you think it's a hippie thing to be gluten-free. By the way, you shouldn't consume a single gluten-free food. You shouldn't be consuming anything that is supposed to contain gluten to begin with, because what you need to understand is that gluten is an indigestible molecule that in a lot of cases coats the wall of your gut, right? It's like this sticky substance that gets attached to the walls of your gut. And what happens at that point is that it destroys the microvilli, so the little tentacles that coat your gut lining, and that's where the nutrition that you consume is absorbed. Now, when you're consuming a lot of gluten through your diet, basically, you're destroying your gut lining. You're destroying all of that, and as a result, you can't get as much nutrition out of the food that you consume, right? Like, you could have two identical twins eating the same diet and everything, but one consumes gluten and the other one doesn't, and they're going to have completely different outcomes, because the one that consumes gluten is going to have a damaged gut lining that is going to prevent the maximal extraction of the nutrition that he consumes, and that can result to a bunch of issues inside of the body, depending on what you're genetically predisposed to. And if you're genetically predisposed to hair loss, this is one of the main reasons, okay? I know personally a decent amount of people that quitting gluten was the one thing that made their hair regrow back naturally. It was literally the bottleneck. And in this video, we're trying to tackle different bottlenecks and whatever, but this is potentially a big one for you. So, no pasta, no bread, and I know it's hard. A lot of you, unfortunately, are addicted or brainwashed. You're gonna have to do a little bit more effort than that. Eat some fucking watermelon, you know what I mean, to cope or whatever, but gluten needs to be completely and utterly eliminated if your goal is to maximize hair growth and reduce hair loss as much as possible, alright? And fix your health in general. Now, another thing that is very, very good to reduce gut inflammation, but also scalp inflammation, is omega-3 fatty acids. So consuming salmon is one of the best things that you can do for your overall health, of course, but also for your hair. And I know what a lot of people are gonna say, oh, but salmon's too expensive. Bro, look at where your money is going every single week, every single month. It's not that you can't afford salmon, it's that you're not willing to give up the garbage, useless shit that you spend your money on instead of reinvesting it into yourself, into your health, into building your character. Instead, you're spending it on a bunch of dog shit you don't actually need. So I don't want to hear the excuse that, oh, but all this diet stuff is too expensive. No, it's not. It's really not. If you actually learn how to prioritize spending and you're not a complete another slave. Okay? So omega-3s, you can also do, oh, my fucking leg is, oh my god, I lost the entirety of the blood in my leg. Whoa. I need to learn how to sit when I record these. Holy fuck. That's crazy. Anyways, so fish oil supplements, they do work as well. I'd rather get that stuff straight from the source, obviously. Anything that you can get away with consuming from nature, you should get instead of a supplement. Supplements should only be a really like a last resort to bridge certain gaps. Now the last thing I want to touch on when it comes to diet is the idea of raw meat. Because I know that some of you are very familiar with this idea, and my opinion on raw meat is very simple. You should do it if you can. All of the bacteria that you get from the raw meat and the superior nutrition and the hydration and everything is very good for you, right? And I've done it myself. I do like it, but obviously raw meat, unfortunately, isn't realistic for most people due to the sourcing and due to all these different things. And just in general, raw meat is a very high mental barrier to get over, and I'm trying to help as many people as possible. So if you can consume raw meat, if that's within your periphery, so to speak, do it. It's absolutely and utterly amazing, right? Raw organs, all of that shit is great, but it's not mandatory, all right? But yeah, that's the whole thing about diet. It's both eliminating all of the toxins that cause inflammation, but also giving your hair the proper building blocks to actually grow not only as fast as possible, but also at its highest possible quality. Now, I've touched on detoxification a little bit, right? And one of the best ways to detoxify is to use a sauna. I know a lot of people are against the sauna because they've read that, oh, but it stresses out the body or whatever. The thing about it is that temporary stress that actually has a goal is very well tolerated by the body and doesn't have an effect long term. It is chronic stress that actually causes the biggest amount of damage. And the idea behind the sauna is that you are going to sweat out a lot of the toxic heavy metals that are contained inside of your body as a result of your shit diet, your shit lifestyle, and everything. And of course you want to use a towel because otherwise everything is just going to permeate back through your skin barrier. Now aside from that, again, I need to stress this again. You see me out here in nature with the sun in front of me. Get as much sun exposure as humanly possible. Because if you're already on the diet that I talked about, right, you're not going to sunburn. Or if you do, it doesn't even matter, right? Because it's an omega-6 dominant skin composition that causes all of the skin aging, all of the different problems with the sun. The sun is your friend. The sun is amazing. And here's the thing, 86% of people who experience androgenic alopecia are vitamin D deficient, okay? Now, you can go the supplement route. The problem is that vitamin D doesn't get synthesized when ingested the same way that it does by the sun, because when you actually get the vitamin D from the sun, it actually penetrates your skin, the UVB penetrates your skin, and it is cholesterol, it is a derivative of cholesterol that is inside of your skin that converts it into bioavailable vitamin D. Whereas vitamin D from supplements, it's not nearly as bioavailable, and it can also be toxic. Whereas vitamin D from the sun, because it's synthesized properly, naturally, that's where you're supposed to get your vitamin D from. Because, oh, but like a cod liver oil or whatever, bro, there's no food on earth that's gonna give you any significant amount of vitamin D unless you overconsume it to death. Okay, look at the amount of vitamin D that is in cod liver oil and try to hit 10,000 IUs a day with that. That doesn't work, right? There's no food that contains a proper amount of vitamin D, and it doesn't even get synthesized properly by your body. So yeah, get as much sun as possible. And besides that, you get the benefits of infrared light, you get the benefits of all of it, and of course you want it to hit your scalp as well. A lot of people say, oh, don't let the sun hit your scalp, that's going to cause issues. Complete opposite. Complete and utter opposite. You want vitamin D synthesized in your scalp. You want the full light spectrum to hit your entire body, of course, because everything systemic has an effect on your hair, but also your scalp. All right? Do not fear the sun. There is a lot to say about sun maxing, but the crux of the point is, this is just as important as having the right diet. All right? Your hair will actually regrow much faster, and I know several people that the only thing they changed in their overall lifestyle was increasing their sun exposure, sunbathing and everything, and they've experienced visible faster hair growth. Okay, so this is the power of the sun in isolation. Now if you combine all of the things that I told you in this video, and you can stick to it for a long enough period of time, at least a few weeks, at least a few months, your hair is going to be completely and utterly transformed. Now there's other things that you should know as far as hair maintenance is concerned, especially if you want to grow long hair and like have it be as beautiful as possible without any breakage and whatever. And obviously the things I already told you helped. But as far as like, everyday maintenance is concerned, wooden comb, wooden brush or bristle bore, right? Plastic creates a lot of static electricity as you use it, which damages your hair follicles, which creates frizz. And also, as a side note, you are permeating microplastics through your scalp and just adding to the problem of scalp inflammation. Now, second thing, get a shower filter, because water filled with fluoride and filled with toxic heavy metals is gonna add to your scalp inflammation. Getting a shower filter can make a huge difference, especially since it's a habit that you do consistently. So get a shower filter as well. And speaking of habits that you do frequently, well, sleeping is one of the most important. Now, obviously, I'm not going to tell you, oh yeah, sleep or whatever. Obviously, you need to fix your sleep, right? I don't need to tell you, like, it's very, very obvious that just like any other process in the body, having good sleep is going to make you have better hair. However, where you sleep also really matters, right? You want to get silk or satin pillowcase, blanket, and bed sheets, because any other fabric, the stuff people typically get, polyester or whatever the fuck, it creates a lot of friction as you toss and turn in your sleep and whatever, and that leads to hair breakage, split ends, hair loss, a bunch of different things. So get a silk or satin pillowcase, and ideally blanket and bed sheets. It also just feels really, really nice. It's kind of like you feel like you're sleeping in an actually like royal type of bed, right? You're gonna feel a difference. You're gonna love it. Now, another thing a lot of people ask me is how to change their hair color naturally. And one of the best things that you can do to lighten it, to do bleaching naturally, because trust me, you don't want to do bleaching. You don't want to do traditional hair bleaching, because that shit destroys the integrity of your hair follicles completely and utterly. Never, ever, ever bleach your hair, okay? Trust me. Instead, using lemon juice on your hair and also getting enough sunlight will lighten its color and will give you that golden shine. All right, what else is there? Oh yeah, hair oiling, obviously. If you want to strengthen your hair follicles, make it thicker, make it shinier, and also feed your roots directly. Now, on top of everything I've already told you, you can do hair oiling. So you want to do a carrier oil. Castor oil is a pretty freaking good one. And you combine that with an essential oil such as rosemary oil, for example, and that will have the effect of both nourishing your hair but also stimulating growth via the pathways that rosemary oil provides. And as a side note, a lot of people say that, oh, rosemary oil is cope, just use minoxidil. Bro, I'm not a big fan of studies because I know all of the pitfalls that it falls into. However, they've literally done a study comparing 2% minoxidil to 1% rosemary oil, and the rosemary oil came out on top. And to this argument, people say, oh, but people use 5% minoxidil, not 2%. It's like, okay, what prevents you from using 10% rosemary oil? Even just 5% rosemary oil, which would still be double the effect. No, even more actually. Right? You can actually high dose essential oils. Even if you feel a little bit of discomfort or whatever, that's fine. That produces a shit ton of blood flow to your scalp. And combined with things like microneedling and whatever, you supercharge your blood with powerful nutrition, as explained before, and then through things like essential oils and microneedling, you get that blood flow, that supercharged blood flow, to mobilize itself locally, and that's going to create a lot of hair growth and high quality hair growth at that. And of course, as you see me doing right now, weekly hair masks are a very, very powerful way of enhancing your hair maxing journey for basically every goal, whether it's for fixing hair loss, whether it's for improving your hair overall. Essentially, you want to mix in a lot of different natural ingredients that are loaded with nutrition that you can absorb topically. You know, a bunch of oils, egg, honey, spices, all those different things that you mix up. You apply it and you leave it in for honestly as long as possible, really. Like right now, I think it's been about 6-7 hours since I've had this on. And this especially has contributed a lot to my own hair maxing journey. Now, you've learned a lot through this video, and I heavily encourage you to try those things on your own, to see how you feel about them. And of course, to do your own research, right? Always keep an open mind. Don't just blindly believe what I say. However, if you really resonated with the things that I said today, and you want a step-by-step process of the very things that I've used personally, that's taken me, bro, years of trial and error, of trying things for 3 months only to lose even more hair, and to just desperately read a bunch of different books and scour the internet for the miracle cure, because I didn't want to use pharmaceuticals, I didn't want to use finasteride. I'm extremely against those things, and I just knew that it could be done the natural way. And you know, it's taken me a lot to come to this point. And if you just want everything laid out for you in a very simple way, that you can take the exact steps in a way in which you're not going to have any questions left, there's not going to be any confusion, you're going to know exactly what to do and how to do it, then you should get the hair maxing protocol. It has everything autistically laid out for you, and it's things that actually work, that I've actually done myself. It's not some ChatGPT bullshit that grifters put together in order to sell their audience on cope methods like this shit. No, this is the real shit. Obviously, it covers essentially every aspect of hair maxing, and you're also going to learn how to reverse the graying of your hair. You can actually maintain youthful hair for a very long time if you apply those things consistently. And trust me, even if you're not losing hair yet, you never know when the Reaper is coming for you. And because of the modern lifestyle that we possess and all the different things you're exposed to, there's an over 60% chance that you are going to experience it at some point. And if you can get on top of it today, you're never gonna have to worry about a funky hairline like I do. I would have given everything for somebody to walk me through this shit before my hairline started deteriorating, and that's exactly what I want for you. Either way, I really appreciate you if you're still with me, and even if I genuinely believe that this is the best possible resource on the internet on how to reverse hair loss naturally and overall natural hair maxing, a lot of things you've learned today are extremely useful. And of course, I'm going to keep uploading. The protocol is only for those who really want it something that's like autistically laid out, so you don't have to do any kind of guesswork. Obviously, there's a lot more to it. However, even just doing the basics can yield very good results. Thanks for watching, bro, and as always, keep ascending.